All right, everyone, it's Dokkan time, and it's me, Joe Saiyan again, and I have a very special guest with me today, the famous Greg Daw.
Famous, he reckons. Wow, what an intro. G'day, guys. I'm Greg Dorr. Happy to be here. I'm stoked. Am I the first guest?
You are the first guest of Dokkan time. Yes, you are.
Ah, point of pride there for me. Cool. All right. So, what's going on?
Well, today's Dokkan time topic is going to be, in my opinion, it's a pretty hot one at the moment. If anyone's circling around on social media with Dokkan Battle, I'd like to discuss just the overall, how do I put it? Just the overall two new LRs of Fusion Zamasu and Vegito Blue.
The discourse around them, so to speak.
Well, maybe not just the discourse. I mean, just everything about them. I mean, these guys are. I mean, they're taking a huge step, specifically in the leader skill part.
Yes. Yes. So they're not necessarily changing the meta, but they are at the same time. It's kind of hard to put a pin on it, really, isn't it?
I mean, it honestly, to me, like I've been playing since pretty much year one, and
Yeah.
it's not like a jump, like you said. It's not like a huge jump,
No,
but
it's not the seventh anniversary where they went like directly from 170 to 200. Like there was same as when they went from flat boost to percentage boost or up to 120 or up to 170s, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
this is just a bit different.
And that's where I kind of feel like it's where it's at. It's like we're used to having like back there we're used to having like freaking Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta as a leader and like
Oh wow, yeah, that is
intelligence
going back.
Turles, and then all of a sudden we get Gogeta and like freaking um heck, even the weird jump of kind of blue Vegito, the physical one, because he was an all super lead, but he had like low key, or fusions of the
Yeah, yeah.
original TEQ Fusion Zamasu had like no key, but he was an
Yeah,
ideal
so that was
leader.
during that. Yeah, that was that weird era where they had like three key and low boosts, or they just went straight like 100% boost but no key. It was
Hmm.
odd.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
they called them like demigod leaders or something like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Unofficially, yeah, it was like the god leads, the demigod leads, or all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but now things are a little bit different, and obviously the 200% meta has been somewhat inconsistent. I mean, they did start off pretty uniform with like two categories with 170 with the extra 30% to a specific category, and then they started introducing bits and pieces of more. Like Kid Goku probably changed it the most by having three categories for the 170, and then two, I think it was same with the Gammas, two categories for the 30% buff. But now we've got the extra step.
Yeah, so now we they're giving us, of course, the three categories for the
Yeah.
leader. And for Zamasu, extreme class allies get a 150 boost and key plus 3, of course. And then Vegito's giving super class key plus 3 and 150% boost. I mean,
Well, I guess a good question then to ask is, do you expect, I mean, I'm kind of maybe jumping the gun a little bit, but in the way that we've got 150% to superclass and extreme class respectively on these Vegito and Zamasu, do you expect categories to do the same thing? Do you expect hypothetically, just say for New Year's we get, let's just say it's a Gogeta for the sake of marrying up with Goji. Do you expect to see, like time limit 150% behind Fusion and something else?
ooh, ooh. Yeah, I mean, what else could you do, really? I mean, if you think about it, the
Mm.
only thing I
Well,
could go
yeah,
ahead.
sorry, go on.
I was
No,
gonna
you're
say
right.
they might actually go on with if they're returning to super and extreme type inclusions like this. I'm wondering if they're gonna start splitting it off again with typings. So,
Oh, okay. Oh,
so
okay. I like that. I didn't think of
like
that.
they'll do a dual thing
Yeah.
where like let's go back to your Gogeta thing. So let's say we have Gogeta, and then when we have Janemba, but this new Janemba will be a, let's say, physical STR and AGL, also 150% lead.
Mm.
Um,
Interesting. Yeah, no, I like that. I think that's quite more. Do you reckon? Oh, well, I can't. I don't think they can go less. I was going to say, do you think they'll go like 120 even, but I don't think they can. I think 150 is pretty low as it is. Obviously
150
being
is
super,
very low.
yeah, in this meta for sure, yeah. But yeah, no, I like that splitting it up because yeah, the types would make sense, but then going super STR, for example, would be yeah, very interesting.
My
I like
question
that.
is, are they going to apply this to the Carnival LRs? Because remember, the Carnival LRs are already at a flat 200% boost right now. So in part 2 of currently, as the viewers or the listeners are listening, we are currently at the very beginning of worldwide download. Do we
Correct.
think that the
I'm
part 2 Carnival units will have double 200% like leader skills and then 170 like extreme or super leads?
Oh, I think 170 super extreme is super extreme, and I don't think they'll do it. Sorry, that was just
It is
yeah,
right
low
there.
hanging fruit. Um, uh, no, I don't.
No?
Well, I mean, it's so hard to say because this celebration has quite literally flipped the entire script as we know it. For those who I guess, living under a rock. I mean, if you're following anything Dokkan related, especially with the worldwide tournament, they've just announced that they're syncing the game. So,
Right.
um, what was unanimously kind of never going to happen, despite everyone's cries for it, is now happening. So, for me to sit here and say I don't see something happening, I've got that resting in the back of my mind, going, well, mate, literally anything can happen now. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it happen, but then again, the super and extreme class leaders, the way we've known them in the past. So the upcoming EZAs for Trunks and Zamasu are a pair of super and extreme class leaders. The Plycon and Janemba, who had the secondary super and extreme class as well. It was always well, not an afterthought, but it was always a secondary part of the leader, and it was always nerfed compared to the rest.
True.
And it was never really meta relevant. Even like the Pycon and Janemba, it was 130% lead rather than the 170, which their category was. Trunks and Zamasu were 120 leads to super and extreme, while still being that kind of 170, 130 scattery kind of leader. So
So
will Carnivals do it?
I
I don't
guess
know.
I would be worried then if any new units after the worldwide all of a sudden do the same thing again with extreme and super, but they cut down the leader skill more. I really hope they
I
wouldn't.
No, me neither. And I think well, I would be more inclined to, I guess, follow the tradition that at most we get one leader per year that is the super and extreme class, the way we have with these two now,
That's true.
and the ones in the past. There always seems to be like no more than one pair per
So
year. So I don't necessarily, but I do really like I guess it would be a return of the mono meta
I was gonna say,
within
does
the
that mean the
200%
next
meta.
one is gonna
I
be
love that idea.
like
I think that's
AGL? No,
fantastic.
then they can increase it instead of
They
because
can,
that's
they certainly can.
yeah. So instead of 150, it'd be 170 lead.
And I think that is perfectly balanced. I genuinely do. I think that's great. I guess let's expand that a little bit more. I mean, we're going a little bit deeper and potentially off topic, but would you add a key to that? Make it 4 key for just the ones that are on the nerfed section of the leader skill.
I would say the one key would help kind of balance out them not being on
Yeah,
a full 200,
yeah.
but that makes me think they're gonna really push how much harder some of the newer content's gonna be too. I mean, I don't think one
Okay.
key is going to really make that big of a difference per se, but I mean, we already kind of see the little bit of extra they're putting into this new red zone.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I love the idea of this
Because
mono
I mean,
meta
if they're
that you
trying
brought
to
up.
increase how many different teams we can make like this, because this just opened a huge amount of different pool of units you can throw onto the teams.
It
Uh,
did.
So
It did.
why are they trying to do that? Are they just trying to do it so it'll make it more fun for players? Because I mean, if you're a new freaking player, you don't have all these large sum of units to go through. I mean, it opens up the field to being able to just kind of freely throw on units onto the team.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, you can freely throw much more of a roster on, but
I
like
just
we
mean on
say,
a
it is still
a new
150.
player kind of perspective.
True, yeah. Well, I think it's more of a selling point. Like with to go hand in hand with the announcement that they are syncing the versions. I think every player who has played before but dropped off, or anyone who is thinking of joining, has never been more encouraged to join than right now because of two separate, but I think intentional things that are going together. To be like, okay, just summon now because you'll get a leader that you can take through, you can make whatever team you want. Obviously, some of the harder content's going to be a little bit tricky, but that's just Dokkan anyway.
Yeah.
But then to also be like, and don't worry, everything that's coming will be yours as soon as it comes. The JP stuff, even if you weren't aware, it's all. So I think it's maybe a bit of a selling point, I guess, more than anything. But I mean, it's hard to say. Dokkan's pretty inconsistent.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we really went in on the leader skills. We really went in on them.
Well,
So,
I think that's their big thing, really. I mean, Dokkan Fields is kind of a new mechanic, I guess, but the leader skill is that took everyone by surprise. There was nothing suggesting that that was going to happen.
right.
Whereas we kind of had the Dokkan Field. Most new mechanics got to get data mined, I guess, and then obviously that builds a little bit of hype because we're curious to see how it functions. But we're very blindsided by the leader skills, and I think it is a good topic of a discussion because yeah, it really changes the approach for players, and I think these banners are as must summon as ever
Oh, I
because of
agree.
that, and also the units that are featured together. It might be going slightly off topic, but I see units like World Tournament Goku with Ultimate Gohan, and I'm just like, my God, you need to summon on this banner. Like those two. I mean, say what you will about LR Ultimate Gohan, I don't have much negativity towards him as much as other people, but oh, I can build you a team with World Tournament Goku leading and Ultimate Gohan as the poster boy, and he goes berserk.
Yeah, no, I mean all of the hate that Gohan had for a while. I think it's died down at this point. Yeah, he was not the quote unquote beast that we all were hoping for, but he's still a
Mm,
very, very good and reliable unit, honestly. I think he's just more of a unit kind of like we'll get into it in a minute, but kind of like the new Goku and Vegeta. I feel like they're kind of
yeah, I
more
was just about to
a
say it's a good
little bit
segue, but
dupe
yeah,
dependent. There's just some
yes, yes,
units that require dupes, like Kale. Kale needs dupes. 55% she can be underwhelming, but you give her
okay,
even just one dupe or two, and she's crazy, she's absolutely
okay,
insane.
yeah. I don't have Kale, so it's hard for me to say. I've played a little bit on a private server, but I tend not to put too much credence into the way things perform online.
Yeah, I
Um,
Rado once again a little off topic, but Rado he pulled two dupes and he obliterates the stages. I tried doing my
yeah,
55% video. I got her up to link level 10 and she's just so underwhelming.
mm,
It's just the amount of extra attacks and the damage that you can get in there plus the defense early
yeah,
on
that's right.
anyways. But
Yeah, yeah, it's a
anyways,
shame. But yeah, anyway, yeah. Sorry, we're getting off topic, but I dare say that's going to happen a couple times.
so, I guess we might as well talk about the domain now that it's officially out.
Okay.
Now that we actually know what it does. I mean, originally I
Mm,
thought the domain was going to be like a literal Yu-Gi-Oh field card. Like you were gonna place that sucker down, and you were gonna have it for the rest of the match, and you're gonna have like a
like an
10.
item or a support memory?
Um, I would have liked it as a support memory. In all honesty, I think that would have been amazing. Like you put a Frieza support memory. Like let's say that you have an extreme team and you're
Oh, it
fighting a
gives the
Super
5 minutes.
Saiyan Goku. As soon as you fight
Yes.
Super Saiyan Goku, that thing gets launched down, and Planet Namek's gonna explode. It makes it so extreme units have like a 10% boost, and then after a certain amount of turns, the planet explodes and does like immense amounts of damage.
Yeah, right. Interesting. I would have loved
That's
that. I would have liked the idea of the self kind of, or not even the self activation, but just the conditional activation of something that helps the team. Though I am not super keen on the whole depending on the enemy type sort of thing. I don't think they do a good enough job of releasing content to to complement it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Future
I
Saga is also very, very limited, at least as far as I've
yeah.
seen.
Oh, I'm even thinking of like Turles, the upcoming one, the one that Global doesn't have yet, but JP got. It's probably our next solo Dokkanfest TUR. He needs like a Goku's family or a Gohan kid enemy to like activate his intro. And I just don't understand why you release a unit like that and then no content that is specific to that. Like not even a burst mode for a kid Gohan Dokkan event. It it's weird to me.
So I don't know what it was about Turles. I'm not a JP player. I'm not a JP player. I'm a
okay,
global player through and through. I've
me too.
tried
Yeah.
going over to JP, and it always
Yeah,
comes
I've had a
down
couple of stints, but yeah.
yeah, I've had a couple instances where I go in and I'm just like, I can't read it, I can't enjoy it. It's not my native language. If it was, or if I could understand it, maybe I would. But anyways, when everyone was going over Turles, everyone's like, oh, he's underwhelming, and I'm just like, he's not really underwhelming. It's more like he just looks like he should have been
Yeah.
released like 3 months ago. Like,
Well, I don't even think it's a time frame thing. Like I said, it's just a matter of, but what for? You know what I mean? And I think
yeah,
that's a mistake the community does make a lot of times when, and I look, it's fair to assess them based on what we have. That's fine. But to be like, oh, they're just underwhelming. Yeah, that's because nothing exists for them to be overwhelming. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
they didn't drop a red zone Kid Gohan. They
no,
didn't drop a red zone Goku's family kind of event.
no,
If it existed or if it came out with him, you'd be like, oh, I see. This is what he's for. You're encouraging me to summon because there's this crazy content that I need to beat. And he's tailored directly to it. And I think that's a problem in general. So we get on off topic, but the dock and field, yeah, yeah, I think that's maybe a thing that I would have liked to have seen it done better. While you were setting up this audio, I was having a little bit of a play with it. I do like the fact that it is like a transformation. It's not like a standby in the sense that they're just unusable almost for those turns. I was afraid of that being the case, where Infinite Zamasu just might be, in his slot, he just does nothing but he doesn't do any damage and he doesn't take any damage. He's just kind of a dead slot. I'm glad that he attacks. I think it's really interesting. And there's a lot of potential for it too, knowing roughly what is in the code and what is yet to be confirmed as what can and can't happen.
yeah. And I mean, if we actually like really think about it, when it comes down to the standby effect, I mean, how much did it jump? Like, just throughout the last year, we started off with the Carnival Super Saiyan Tech Goku, where it was a revive standby, and then we went on to Golden Week with World Tournament Goku, where he could just activate his revive effect because someone else revived. I mean,
Oh, sorry, you're talking about the buffs and the passive because of a revive,
yeah. So what I'm
as
saying
opposed to the
is like
standby. Yeah.
the standby and then the revive, like all of those types of mechanics just evolved so aggressively over a year. Like it kind of made.
Yes, they did.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
how could the domain effect evolve like excessively to
Well,
that
we spoke
degree?
about this yesterday. Like as soon as I jumped in our big group chat thing, it can go so far as to affect active skills and their conditions. So I mean, the sky is the limit. I guess that's a bit of a pun on the way Zamasu's field works, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, the easy option would be support, which is kind of in essence what we got out of Zamasu. But I would like to see some more unique things from it. And I am very stoked that my issues were my trepidations before knowing what they did were confirmed to not
Ooh,
be the case.
I just had
Where sorry,
I just had like a crazy thought. I'm sorry.
go for it. No, go for it. No, you're right.
It-
I was just going to say quickly that I'm just glad that the dock and field does not hinder using Zamasu as a leader in that if you're using the field with one of the Zamasus, the other one is kind of just like a sitting duck without his
oh
big
yeah,
new ability to sort of help him. That would have been annoying because using that example, like you said, going back to the Worldwide Celebration last year, when one Goku revives, the other one is just
Screwed.
sitting there with a chunk of his passive that is impossible to activate.
Yep.
They did rectify that, like you said, with the World Tournament Goku, and it's
Mm-hmm.
probably a shame they didn't go backwards and like change everyone else's wording accordingly, like they can often do.
I mean, they did. They just
But
did that
I
with
mean, it is what.
Janemba's guard and a couple other units, didn't they?
Yes, exactly. And another example was there's the counter attacks, which can now be done with dodging
Right.
disabled. And then the other one was on counter attacks again. This the wording of chances when Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta came out,
Right.
something like that. Yeah, but anyway.
But I just had another thought about a domain effect that they could easily implement, and
Mhm.
I don't want to do it, but
Do it.
let's have
Do
another
it.
Babidi in the game, and let's have him transport everyone
Oh,
onto the ship and
oh,
transport them to different planets, the ship,
oh,
the
you're going
back to
full
the
blown.
Earth. I mean, think about it. What if it, like, part of the domain, like every other turn or something, it just changes the field, and you get
That'd be
transported to
cool.
QQ's planet, and all of a sudden, like, I don't know, I'm like, there's a negative buff or something to the enemy, like minus 10% attack or
You've just
defense.
flashed me back to like Budokai 2, where you've got like that tower mode and it's Babbity's ship and you just hear his voice over and over. And I was, oh, just flashbacks. My thought while you're doing that, I was kind of going through the sagas almost, and you started with Frieza, and my next thought was Cell. I mean, he literally makes the Cell ring,
It's true.
like Cell Games ring. Like, imagine if he just did that. He's like, all right, cool, we're just doing this, and I don't know what the effect might be, but I don't know. It just, and I think when you don't know what the effect might be in that way, I think that opens the door for it to be anything, and I
Mm-hmm.
like that. You know what I mean? Just to be like, okay, Cell's just going to set up his ring, and that means that I don't know. Maybe it's just straight up Cell Saga allies. They get 3 key for 5 turns or something like that.
Yeah. I'm just
It doesn't have to be crazy either. Like, it doesn't even. I don't think it necessarily even has to transform the unit really, because if
no.
you look at Infinite Samasu, he does transform, sure, but his transformation is separate to the effect of the field. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So there's nothing stopping there being just a perfect cell who is just perfect cell, and he just sets up a ring. Everyone gets 3 key for 4 turns, and that's your cell game saga. And maybe it comes with a finish skill, and he just blows up the planet afterwards.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
like anything's possible. And I think this is I really, really am happy with this stock and field thing. I think it's got a lot of potential. I don't think they blew it all at once, which I think is cool as well. It's a bit of a taste, and yeah, it's fun. I like it.
The only thing I'm curious of is, so dial it back to 8th anniversary. Once
Mhm.
again, we're off topic, but we'll get back on it in a second.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's all right.
um, dial back to 8th anniversary. We have two brand new units. They hit the top 5. One of them hit top 1, and they're kind of built for longer content. Are
We're
we?
due longer content.
Are we really seeing any longer content right now? Because right now I'm
We're
seeing
not, but we're
shorter.
bloody due it. Oh yeah, I know. I totally agree, and I think that goes back to that point I was making before regarding Turles, is that we're getting releases that have. I mean, Turles is a little bit more specific, I guess,
Yeah.
but I mean, he still falls into the same category really because he stacks attack. But yeah, we are in dire need of some longer content, and I know it's not the most popular thing for a lot of players because it is a mobile game at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
spending long periods of time, especially in a single sitting, is somewhat counterproductive to the type of game that it is. And I totally understand that, but stop making units like that then.
Yeah, like
Like,
Super
uh,
17, man. My dude's suffering over there.
oh, oh, mate, when I was doing when I was doing showcases, again off topic, but when I was doing showcases for a few things, I was on the private servers, I should say. I was just using Super 17 from turn one. I was like, I'm not gonna bother stacking with the 17s and possibly dying and stuff.
Yeah.
I just want to see what he's like from the get-go. And he's crazy good like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And I understand why they wanted him to stack, like they wanted stacks in under his belt prior to becoming what he is. But again, we need the content for it. And It's a shame we don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there'd be, I don't know, there's interesting ways to do it as well. I think that I'd like to see not just longer content, not just shorter content, not just hit hard, take less damage. We've got the AoEs, which is nice. The latest Zamasu Dokkan event is probably the best example of something a little bit unique, where it's kind of like, well, you just can't kill him, you've just got to survive. A red zone like that would be interesting.
Yeah.
But I've always had the idea where you get a boss that does not launch a super attack again, but what he does is every turn it raises its attack, and basically you face, like, let's say it's 10 normal attacks per turn. One of them is a super, but what the super does is actually heals himself. So what
Huh.
you do, you got 10 attacks, you're taking all these attacks, one of the 10 is a heal, so any damage you do could be healed back, but the next turn he's stronger. So your defense stackers are kind of racing against his attack stacking, but he's healing it back too. So you've also got to have like the balance of the offense to try and make sure you're dealing more damage than he's healing. But then you could also open it up and retool things like attack lowering, defense lowering, sealing, and stunning. You know what I mean? Like the seal could stop him from healing. You know what I mean? Like the stun could just be an action break of just one attack per turn.
So you're
The
trying to
attack
give them
lowering.
different. You're trying to give different effects for those kind of
Well,
useless abilities now.
correct. Yeah, they are useless, and that's why I think they could have a unique little niche in these new stages, so that you are. I mean, Zamasu just came out with an 18 key super that lowers attack. Great. For what?
Yeah. No,
Like, for what?
I completely agree, and I think that's a fantastic thing that they could do. I don't see any reason why they can't just add to it like that. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
how long has it been since we've basically just all stun and seal, lower attack, lower defense characters are all just kind of moot.
The last stage I can think of that has any usefulness, at least for stunning, was the Cell Red Zone event from the Red Ribbon Army. He can be stunned for the first 3 stages. It's actually a pain in the ass because you've got all these units that want to take shots,
Well,
and you're
almost
just
all
stunning for
of
three
these
slots.
red zone stages and so forth can have their attack lowered or their defense lowered. Like freaking the Cooler Core. You fight the Metal
Yeah, yeah, the
Cooler
first
army
phase.
right
Yeah.
off the bat, and you can just keep lowering their attack. And if you don't have units to lower their attack, you actually could get pretty messed up. I'm not gonna
Mm.
lie. I
See,
mean,
and like all it would take as well is, even if you just change the definition of what the attack lowering would do, and just make it so that it's the attacks following, like the attacks targeted at the unit that lowered the attack. So you've got Zamasu, for example, he launches his attack, he hits Cooler Core, lowers the attack, and it's just for the attacks that are then targeted Zamasu following.
hmm.
Cooler Core's attacks go back to normal in slot 2 or 3 against
Oh,
other allies. You know what I mean? Same with
okay.
defense lowering. You know what I mean? Like, not so it's a whole team thing, but just so it's a little bit more selfish, I guess.
I was gonna say
I
that
just
could actually give some other units a little bit of life. Because I mean, let's be
100% it
real.
could.
How many older
And you're not
units
breaking
have
the game by
lower?
doing it.
Yeah, I mean, how many older units have lower attack that could
Yeah.
easily survive a lot of even the hard content just by lowering their attack like through a double super?
Imagine if you expanded that to sealing and stunning, for example. I was just using
Ooh.
Supreme Kai of Time.
Mm-hmm.
What if her seal worked just for the attacks that she was taking in slot 3?
Yeah.
You know, they can super next turn, it's fine, but it's just those attacks that she was about to take,
I'm
she
sorry.
can't yeah, sorry.
That would give that free to play Goldo so much freaking stonks.
Oh,
Because
yeah. Oh,
the
yeah.
free to
But
play
that's
tech
fun.
Goldo lowers attacks, lowers defense, chance to seal, chance to stun.
But the beauty of that is that it's only versus the attacks that he was going to take anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not like in the following turn when you're running the new Zamasu. I'm just going to keep going back to the brand new units for examples. But, the following turn in slot 1, you've got Zamasu. He's not sitting there facing an enemy that's stunned, sealed, with attack lowered and defense lowered. He's got to do it himself. If he wants to debuff the enemy for the attacks that he takes, he's got to do it himself.
Right.
Gildo's kind of like, yeah, no, it's fine. I survived, but I survived, and that's very in character for Gildo as well.
That's true. Yeah, no, it is very in character.
Yeah, but no,
Um,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Okay.
I was gonna say something. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking.
But yeah, so we're already like a half hour in here. Dang.
Oh, how long does you podcast usually go for?
I was gonna start trying to aiming it for a half an hour, but it's okay.
Okay.
We'll go for an hour. Hour is fine.
Okay.
So I guess I kind of wanna get your opinion on the super attack. Let's just get into let's just get it out of the way.
Or the
If
original.
anyone's listening to this podcast, the first thing they read was we're talking about the new LRs. Everyone probably wants to know or talk about Vegito, the specifically
And,
Goku Vegeta.
oh, okay.
I see a lot of discourse over just that he has really low attack, he has really low defense. What's your take on the fact that his 12 key just raises attack and his 18 key just raises defense?
I think it's probably a little bit stiff that because raises, for those who are unaware, when it reads raises, just simply raises without any prefix, it's a 30% buff. When it's greatly raises, it's a 50% buff. If it's
Right.
massively raises, it's 100% buff.
Right.
I personally think that given that they only have the opportunity to stack defense once per turn, because obviously no additionals can be 18 key supers, they all have to be 12 key.
Right.
I think maybe they missed an opportunity to maybe make it greatly stacks defense on 18 key. Make that one big stack, and then anything after that is only going to help their attack, which, look, say what you will about their attack stat, whether it be too low or whether it's just right or whatever the Goldilocks effect is that you fall between. I don't think it matters. Like, at the end of the day, attack is probably the least important factor that a unit can have at the moment. They need to survive, and if they don't survive, they're not going to attack. So I don't mind I guess it's interesting because, all right, well, I'll pose a question to you then. Let's dial it back 2 years. Who do you like? What design do you like better, Namek Goku or Frieza? And I ask that because they are inverse.
Yeah.
Frieza stacks his defense on 18 key and then stacks his attack on every additional, whereas Goku stacks his attack on his 18 key and then defense on every additional. So, where do you sit on that?
So, personally speaking, I'm more of a I'm not of the group of people that like to just burst through the content. I can't OP overpowered unit my way through most of this. I try to find the most defensible
I tend to agree.
defensible way to get through the content. Mostly because if I go through the defensive way, there's more different tactics I have to follow or a different source of units rather than just, oh, hey, here's the next overpowered unit. So when Namek Goku and Frieza came out, I immediately started summoning for Goku. And that's because as long as he's got built-in additionals, you go for additionals. He is just constantly stacking that defense. If I have a high enough defense, I'm not going to die unless it's just some mechanic in the game. And at this point that where we're at now, from since then, Frieza is very much a liability sometimes. Because if he doesn't get his defense up enough, then we're going to have a problem and he will get you killed. And that's honestly my only gripe with this Goku Vegeta is like, what happens when we're near the 10th anniversary and we're still trying to use this guy and we can't get enough defense? Yes, he does have damage reduction. That's fantastic. But go talk to the true. I'm sorry. I know people don't like it the way I say it, but go look at the True You Are Golden Frieza or the Super Saiyan 3 STR Vegeta. You can have all the damage reduction you want, but if you don't have any defense behind it, you can still get caught.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that look, it's a fine line. I'm not sure if you're aware, but I did actually code and make a few units of my own a few months ago. Defense stacking gets out of hand quickly.
It does.
It is such a tough thing to balance. Especially when you got additionals involved. But I do think they missed a trick in terms of just allowing it to be higher because, unlike the Goku and Frieza from a couple of years ago, this unit is designed to be fused.
Yes.
it's you like
They're two different units.
correct, but the point, it's no different to the 7th anniversary units, where they want you to fuse as soon as possible, but they want you to sort of have a level of inconsistency, and that's not necessarily a negative thing. It's just they want there to be a variable performance on what the Vegito is, depending on how you've used the Goku and Vegeta in prior turns. And that's where I think the lack of so the Razor's defense on Super on 18 key is too low to kind of justify that approach. You know what I mean? It's meant to be a limited time stack, but it's too low to make it appealing almost, if that makes sense.
Well, with
I don't
the
know.
7th anniversary units, they had a real, at least at the time, I'm starting to feel it a little bit now, but at the time, they had a very good middle ground because they
I
had
agree.
built-in
Yes.
additionals at what, 24 key? Like you had a guaranteed
20
additional.
key.
20 key?
20
Yeah,
key.
20 key, you had a
Yeah.
built-in additional. And
Super, guaranteed super.
yeah,
Yeah.
and every time you super it, that's a 20% stack. Mind you, 20% feels immensely lower than a 30% does.
Oh, bloody oath it does. Yeah.
It really does, and that's the part where there's that fine line. Is like, do you make it singled out like this, or do you put it together like the 7th anniversary units had? Now,
And I think that's where, where I said greatly raised before. I think there was two ways they could have gone, and they didn't, and they went the middle ground, and it feels like they just didn't commit almost. Like they should have gone greatly stacks defense on 18 key,
right?
50%. You know, you're getting a solid chunk of defense to the point where you're like, okay, the active skills here. Yeah, man, we're sweet. Let's do this.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Honestly, if
Or
it was greatly raised defense on 18, I wouldn't have even cared.
no,
Because, I mean, freaking... it would have
you
made
want to
up...
be at a point. You want to be at a point where it feels like you don't need to do any more before you fuse with them. And I think that's if I was going to shed a light on the fact that the 7-year anniversary units have aged a touch, it's that you do feel like you want to stack a little bit more before, like after turn 4. You know, you get to turn 4, you've got the active skill ready to go. And let's say let's say they came out in turn 1, you've done 2 super attacks, you didn't get the hidden potential. You got the 2 super attacks, you didn't get the hidden potential. So you got 4 stacks. You get to turn 5 and you're just like, oh, they're a little bit fragile still. I wouldn't mind another couple of super attacks to kind of sturdy them up a little bit more. You know what I mean?
The issue with them, I mean, honestly, after playing with them a little bit, I have a 55% video up. It's the intro. If the intro didn't go away, it wouldn't bother me as much when I'm actually looking at it, because their intro doesn't just let them guard, it gives them 100% defense. And it's actually the same exact issue I kind of had with the Feet World Tournament Goku. Is as soon as he loses that intro, he just loses a chunk of defense. He just loses a chunk. And that World Tournament Goku, if you don't have the ability to go into standby mode, you could get killed. You could really,
easy.
Even if you had him fully stacked up, like he's hitting 1 million defense with his intro. That's awesome. He loses like 200% defense almost. Well, like he drops from like 1 million down to like 600. And in the hardest fights in the game, that's bad.
I don't mind the drop off so much when it is the way it is with those guys, because like I said, it's encouraging you to fuse. You know what I mean? It's to be like, get in your stacks now because it's going to be all over soon. But when it is all over, pop that active skill in your Vegito. Like I said, though, the problem is, though, I don't think that the stacking is enough for you to feel comfortable transforming. You know what I mean? When you've still got the ability to keep stacking.
Exactly.
It's like I said, it would have been even better if, it was 20% to both stats on both 18 key and 12 key.
Yeah, in my 55% video, that's what I was kind of going over. Was the 7th anniversary gods are actually the perfect partner for the Goku Vegeta base form. And they just completely overlapped them, like doubled their freaking defense and attack. But as soon as he transformed into Vegito, like it was just out the door. Vegito took the limelight.
Yeah, see, they are designed, so they've got 2 additionals built in but you need to be in slot 2 or 3 for there to be 2. So slot 2 or 3 gives you an additional attack with a high chance of a super, and then there's an additional super at 20 key. So yeah, I think you're right in that attack on the 12 key was probably the wrong way to go, at least without defense.
Well, I mean,
Um,
it's Pickle tanks all over again. Piccolo and Super Saiyan 3 Go tanks. That unit's just
yeah, I only
garbage.
just pulled them. I haven't had much of an opportunity to play with them
I
too
mean,
much
you
yet, but
could,
I did
by
have
all
a
means, if you
yeah.
find a way to run them, have fun. But I couldn't find a reliable way. They have
Mm,
so little defense, even on a 200% team. It was really
yeah.
painful.
And then yeah, and I guess maybe they should have continued to stack defense when they turn into Vegito. If they maybe could have kept their super attack effects um, carried over into the Vegito. I mean, he does greatly raise attack and defense on both 18 and 12 key, but maybe he could have just
If they made it
stacked
for,
defense.
like, what if they did like the Intelligence God Coup thing where 18 key carries over for 3 turns? So he'd come into the next rotation with that buff still.
Yeah, that would work. Yeah, but I think like you say that they feel. I mean, I haven't used them personally enough for me to be like,
Oh no, it's
oh,
very
I know
early.
all about them. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, it's
and
very.
my
These are
opinion will
all.
change.
I guess I should put a disclaimer. This is all early
Yeah,
impressions. Like
yeah,
this
yeah,
is.
and talk to me tomorrow, and I'll probably tell you 100% of conflicting information. You know what I mean? I'll
Oh
just
yeah,
change
it's
my mind
possible for
entirely.
sure.
But yeah, I think I understand the design they're going for. Like I said, I mean, not to say that I'm different or whatever, but I have designed units and I understand how quickly, especially defense, when you've got additionals and defense stacking, it can snowball so quickly,
Yeah,
so quickly. So I can super understand why they do hold back in general. Like I mean, look at Tech Ultimate Gohan, the conversation that never stops. But yeah, I mean, I feel like they tried to find a middle ground and they failed to kind of to find that balance, maybe at least as I'm seeing it at the moment. And again, I'm only using it 55% with very limited experience of the unit, so who knows? Maybe I'll keep going and find that everything's a little bit different once the dust settles and the hype's worn down
I mean,
and all the
it
rest.
took
I think
months for the whole thing over Beast Go on to die down. It took months.
yeah. Look, again, I'm maybe in the minority when it comes to him. I'm very much an 80% love him, 20% not hate him, but dislike him kind of
He's kind of
opinion. But
RNG. He's kind of RNG because if he doesn't get at least one of his additionals off, if you just get a random turn late in the fight and you just get 2 additionals,
yeah,
then you're hurting. You're hurting.
yeah, for sure. But I also think he's a unit, and maybe and I think Vegito might just stay in that conversation where you can't just slap Gohan on a team. I
No,
maybe that's an indication for the way you want to assess a unit, or the listeners want to assess a unit where
I think that's
that's
how
not
the
a good unit for
majority
you.
want to assess
Yeah,
a unit.
and that's fine. Like if that's how you want to assess a unit, that's great. But this is a unit where his best is so overwhelming
Hmm.
that you can't have that just slapped on a team.
No,
I'm sorry, you just can't.
no.
I mean, look, there's the argument to be made that the fifth year blue fusion is just easy A, so that they pretty much can do that. Uh, but I still think Ultimate Gohan's a different kettle of fish. He's got nullification, and I think a lot of people forget about that. Um,
I think what
so yeah, I
really
think he's
hurts
a
him is that he just doesn't have like a perfect link partner. It just doesn't exist. Like the best partner he
no, it
has
does.
is Pan, which is great. Father
Is
daughter,
it?
that's awesome. But you just really can't force all of his links off all at once.
I'm just going to check that. I've got the Dokkan Wiki open at the moment. I'm just very curious since you've said that, and I've spent a little now that I'm doing those unit guides and I do like the best linking partners. I'm very curious. Actually, his best linking partner is the new Goku from the 8th anniversary, the Carnival Goku.
Yeah, no,
She has 5 length.
he has started to get some, but back then,
Mm.
like when he first released, it was
Yeah,
really rough. And even now, you can't find one that will be all 7 links. You
no,
can't.
no, you can't. I think the
Um,
best way to do it is I'm going to call it the Super Saiyan crew. So your AGL LR Gohan, your Carnival Super Saiyan Gokus, both the TEQ and the STR, because they all have the same links.
Mhm.
Same with the Namek Goku from a couple of years ago. The best way to run that Gohan, I think, is to have one of those guys in slot 1 for him. That'll be Fierce Battle, Legendary Power, Saiyan Warrior Race, and Kamehameha. So that's 4 links.
Mhm.
And you run that on World Tournament Goku or Yamcha's team, and they'll
Yeah.
float around giving him Infighter and something else. I can't think of it at the moment. Oh, I can't think of it. But that's when you really see him go crazy, because all he ends up missing out on is shocking speed, and
Which
that's just
shocking
defense.
speed does give him a little bit of defense, but it's not. It's like 5%. 5% isn't enough
When
to
you
make or break it. All
no,
in the family,
and when you're
though.
running him, all in the family. Oh, that's the other link. That's the other link that the World Tournament gives him. So yeah, like, and because you're running him in slot 2,
Mhm.
ideally he's super attacking 2 or 3 times.
Ideally.
But you're raising your defense anyway.
Mhm.
And on that World Tournament Goku's team, you run Bulma on the other rotation. And trust me when I tell you that Gohan is a killer.
Yeah.
He makes his case for the most damaging unit in the game, and that's not an exaggeration. Like that team, I did a video on it where I don't like the whole conversation over top 5 or best unit. I just think there's too many variables for that to be an outright
There's also a lot of
like
personal
statement.
opinions for a lot of
Oh,
people.
for sure. But I just think that content's too variable almost. So
Oh, yeah.
I did a video for the best team for Red Zone Broly,
Mm.
and that was the team. It was Bulma and
Oh,
someone
I
else.
think I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that.
yeah, and it's focusing on because obviously the World Tournament Goku's nullify Ki Blast as well, so does Gohan, and it's focusing on Gohan just being like a monster. And then if he
Mhm.
gets super attacked in those final phases, even with the type disadvantage in the STR phase, he nullifies it. Well, half the time he nullifies it, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like you're really setting yourself up for success. So yeah, I mean we've gone well off topic now, I think, but yeah, it's all good.
I don't think people mind if they're still listening
No,
in
no,
at
I mean
this
that's the
point.
way podcasts go, I guess.
As long as they're having fun, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's it.
Um,
Yeah, that's it.
I guess we can get on a more of a lighter topic for the kind of towards
Cool.
the
Yep.
end. Um,
Yep.
Animations. We
Oh,
got
they're
some
so good.
fresh new one, like fresh, like okay, well they're not completely
Dokkan
fresh.
Originals.
They're
Dokkan
they're
Originals.
quote
Yeah.
unquote original. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
A couple people on X or Twitter, whoever, however you want to find the website now, um,
Yeah.
they noticed that Vegito's animations are greatly taken from one of his heroes cards.
Oh,
So
really? I saw the Goku from one of
from
the
the
title sequences.
yeah, from the first intro of the Super anime, Goku
Yes, that's what it
actually
is. Yes.
levitates those key orbs
The
around
key
him
orb.
while
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
doing stances. So that's
Yeah.
a node to that. And then it's not the
That's so
dual
cool.
aspect of the keyblades he's using. It's he actually does the same exact attack kind of animation, but just in different
Oh, really?
angles. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that yet.
If I can find the link, I'll send it
Yeah,
to you.
send it to me. Yeah,
But they
yeah, for sure.
definitely do add their own spin to it. They make it a lot more dramatic. Like I'm sorry, I'm gonna be weird for a second. The zoom up on Vegito's chest and he like pumps it up, like he like pumps his muscles up for a second there and does the freaking final flash. Like they definitely push their own kind of spin onto it, but a large portion of his super attack isn't quote unquote original. It's more like their own spin on it.
It's just heavily influenced by other sources.
Yes, it's
And
heavily
then
influenced,
yeah, and then retooled to be its own thing, you know what
which
I
is
mean? Like,
fine.
well, it's exactly how you want it to be, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like, I mean, look, hey, they could have done like if they had some awesome kick-ass director who was just like, bro, I've got this this choreography that I want to run. Maybe it's influenced by Bruce Lee, like whatever.
Oh, that'd be
Cool, go for your
amazing.
life. But you know what I mean? Like, I think they've honestly, I couldn't be happy with how they did it. Like the 12 going from the 12 key where he literally doesn't even throw hands. It's all feet. And then the feet like gain key almost as he's
Yeah.
kicking. I'm like, oh, you dirty boy. And he does that, and then the 18 key, he's doing like you say, he's swirling the key around him with double blades, and he's just going berserk. Oh, it's fantastic. And the Zamasu as well had honestly a fair like big shoes to fill almost, or a tough act to follow, because I'm of the opinion that Merge Zamasu is
Oh, he's
top three without saying
oh
he's like the gold medalist. I think he's top 5 best overall aesthetic units in the game. Like I feel like there's so few flaws across that unit entirely that this other Merge Zamasu, I was like, oh,
they
I hope
outdid
they live
themselves.
up. Oh, I agree. Yeah, it's fantastic. They've really outdone themselves with the
They've
designs
been going
of
hard
these
on
units.
extreme units actually. Like if you think about
Yeah,
it, like extreme units are actually starting to get a lot of love, a lot of TLC, man. Like Majunior alone, just and Zamasu, those two literally are just like staring down at across all these super units. Like, get on our level.
honestly, Cooler's there with him. Like
Oh yeah, no, he is.
I'm sure people want to be like, oh, he's fallen off a bit and he's RNG, this and
No,
that. It's sort of similar to the Gohan stuff, but he's as good as he's ever been. And look, I love him to bits. I always have. I think he's fantastic, and I can't wait to give him another test run, seeing as I pulled another path of him, to be honest. So I just wish they would have more faith in releasing villains for major celebrations. I feel like it was a huge missed opportunity not to do Omega and Kid Buu for the anniversary. I feel like everyone was ready for that. I feel like it was perfect. Everyone knew what a
oh,
carnival, dual carnival was.
wait, wait,
Everyone
wait.
knew what it was, and they knew that it didn't have to live up to the part one LRs. That's fine.
Are,
That
are
is perfectly fine.
are we gonna get a
Sorry,
domain
go on.
LR Kid Boo? Are we gonna get an LR domain Kid Goku or Kid Boo?
What would the domain be, you reckon?
I mean, he transforms from Super Boo and turns into Kid Boo, and then he blows up the freaking planet, and then
Oh,
they go to the Supreme Kai
oh,
planet.
that's heaps better because like Omega, like that. Honestly, if there was any reason I wouldn't want Kid Buu and Omega, it would be because they share the same name with like the other versions of themselves,
Yeah,
especially Kid Buu with the recent Dokkan Fest.
this
But I
would
love the
help out a
idea
lot.
of just a, like a domain Super Buu
Hmm.
of the insides of him,
Oh, that
basically
would
turn
even be
one.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, turn one, and then turn 3 or 4 or whatever, he takes a bit of, or maybe he takes 3 or 4 attacks. And the super attack animations could be straight up Gotenks,
Yeah.
Piccolo, and Gohan. Like, that'd be so cool. An enemy using those, oh, because they're really clean in the anime too. So the source
Hmm.
material is really quite top notch. But then to revert into Kid Buu would be really cool, I reckon.
Yeah. I just feel like this the whole freaking announcement, just this whole last 24 hours, at least at the time of this recording, it just
Yeah,
really
yeah,
shows that there's a lot they can do for Dokkan in the future now. Like there's just it's a
yeah.
really good outlook. I'm just afraid of any downgrades in quality because I think it might have been last year or the year before. Some people were disappointed in like animations getting lower with some select units. I want to say Turles was one of them actually this year.
I haven't paid enough attention to his animations to make a call on that, to be honest. I try to keep my try to keep JP exclusive stuff in my peripherals for the most part, just
Yeah.
so it's fresh when I
I'm
consume
just
it on
saying
global, I guess.
there's a new
Yeah,
like a top of the pedestal kind of thing right
yeah.
now.
Well,
It
I'll guess. I mean, if we're kind of wrapping up, I'll put a hypothetical to you, or a question to you and the listeners, I should say. Um, what is now that they're doing like basically full blown? I guess I'm going to call them inspired super attack animations as opposed to straight up
they're
kind of,
Dokkan original. They might as well
yeah,
stick with
yeah, the
that.
Dokkan originals. Because actually this is where I'm going with this. The phrase Dokkan original I've used a fair few times in the past because I've constantly questioned, and maybe someone can answer this for me. Why can't Dokkan straight up become essentially Dragon Ball heroes with the stuff that's not in the I guess quote unquote canon or the animated stuff?
Mm.
Like why can't we see, and I'm just going to pull one out of the hat. It doesn't have to be what you want, but why can't we see a Super Saiyan 2 Turles? Doesn't have to be a crossover unit, doesn't have to be from Dragon Ball Heroes. If they've done it, fantastic, good for them. Why can't, as long as it keeps within the realm of realism, for lack of a better term, in terms of the franchise, theoretically Turles could become a Super Saiyan 2. Why can't we just get Dokkan doing that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, let's go back to the freaking Budokai days where we got freaking Cell
Oh yeah,
absorbing Krillin and
yeah,
he turns into a
yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
orange midget. It'd be the
Yeah,
most
and same with
hilarious
absorbing
thing.
freezer and stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of exactly what I'm talking about. The things that would not make you go, that seems stupid, or doesn't seem like it could possibly happen within the realms of the universe.
Hmm.
Why can't we get, I don't know, Kid Buu absorbing bloody Goku?
Right.
They're realistic kind of possibilities should a what if scenario happen, but it's not like us. Why can't we just get a green Kid Buu? It's like, why would he be
Well,
green?
I mean,
You know what I mean?
now that we're actually, let's think a little bit inside the box, I guess. If
Yep.
you're Akatsuki or Katsuki, I don't, I
I
probably
think
I'm
it's Akatsuki. I don't know. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
I don't know,
terrible
but
with
point is
pronunciation.
like if they
Yeah,
haven't done
these are the
any of
developers. Yeah.
yeah, if you're the developer and you haven't done that already, you have to
Yes.
imagine just how much they're holding them back. It's not a money
Well,
issue by any means
I have a
necessary.
the only thing that makes sense to me is that there is a licensing thing, but that still
Yeah.
doesn't really answer any question for me because I don't. Maybe again, maybe someone can answer this who's more educated. But why is there a different license then for Dokkan and not Heroes?
They have them all split around the place. I don't know why. It's
Yeah,
just
I
because
know,
they
but
want different studios working on things so that they
yeah,
don't
I
have
know, but
to.
I guess yeah, why can't they just approve Dokkan to do perfect Cell Max?
They want a payout. I don't know. I mean, they already get a
Yeah,
payout.
yeah. So and surely it would just generate more money. I don't know. Maybe it is.
I
They're
would say
just
it would
trying to keep it
generate
more
hype.
realistic. Yeah, 100%. A perfect Cell Max. I've seen some of those concept
Actually,
arts.
I don't know. I swear I saw one of the insiders say that Heroes was gonna stop soon.
Only the promotional anime.
Oh, okay, so it's only the
That's
anime. Okay.
yeah. I read that too. There was a self-proclaimed leaker
Yeah,
who
I'm not
said
gonna
that
say who it is, but I know
no,
who it
me neither.
is.
And I'm not trying to say whether he is or isn't credible. I mean, he might be. Who
I mean,
knows?
we don't know
But
if he's best friends with
no,
the uncle of freaking Akatsuki. We don't know.
yeah, he could be. But yeah, no, he was just saying that it's highly likely that the promotional anime will finish because apparently it's also a bit of a it's a bit of a purgatory for those that work on it. They
Right.
don't like doing it and everything like that, which is a shame. I mean,
Honestly,
it's
way off topic. Animators in
yeah,
general are very,
yeah,
very
that's yeah,
just. I feel so bad for them, man. They do so
hard done
much
by.
work.
They're very hard done by. And I
I
mean,
honestly, in my real day job, I probably make more freaking money than a lot of animators do, and
oh,
that's
without a doubt, and you'd work a hell of a lot less.
yeah. It's really it's a shame. It's a real shame.
It is a shame because I think there's a charm to the Dragon Ball Super. Sorry, yeah, no, there's Dragon Ball Superhero. What is it? Dragon Ball Heroes anime. Jesus, they use the word hero and super way too much. God damn it. But yeah, anyway, we've got a bit off topic. But yeah, I'd like to see in the comments or whatever any ideas of Dokkan original units that are technically outside the canon but within the realms of possibility that any of the
Yeah,
listeners might want to see.
I think we'll
I
do
think
that.
that's
We'll
cool.
end it on that question
Yep,
is
cool.
what are
Maybe we can
some
go more in depth on that
units
later, but yeah.
yeah, what are some units the viewer or listeners or viewers would want to see in Dokkan with Dokkan original animations now that we actually
And
are
if you're real, and to the listeners, if you really want to expand on that, what animations or anything else would you like the original animations to be inspired by? Like we just said, how the new Vegito is inspired by the Dragon Ball Super opening plus a Dragon Ball Heroes animation. Tell us your unit that you want to come out with specific animations that you see somewhere else that you would like them inspired by.
exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Well, I think that's gonna wrap up the podcast. We've gone quite a while,
There's probably a couple of episodes of content there, mate.
probably. But I appreciate you for joining me on this podcast, Greg. It's been great having you here, and I hope that you'll join me on future podcasts.
All you have to do is ask, mate. I'm more than happy to hang out.
All right, sounds good. So where can the listeners and viewers reach you at?
I'm pretty much everywhere. Instagram, Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it, YouTube. and Discord. I release my videos on both X and YouTube respectively. Pretty much search for Greg Dor or Greg Dor DBZ. It'll be one of the kind of what do you call it, variations of that as my username, so you can find me there. I think I'm just about to announce that I'll be streaming once a week, the same time as I did this morning. Or this morning my time, which is probably going to be the Sunday evening for most of the rest of the world. As you might be able to tell, I'm not from America. So yeah, that's basically it. But to anyone who's listening that might want to have a conversation with me, very much welcome to join me over on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you might. Shoot me a message, and I'm more than happy to have a chat.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, make sure to go give Greg a view and listen to. And you can also check me out on JoeSayin13 on all of my social medias, from Twitch to Kick and to Twitter. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you all for joining, and I hope you all have a good day and a good night.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for having me on. We timed that perfectly. Old mate's just started with the whippersnipper outside.